Shall we start?
Yes, Prabhupada.
So today we'll be covering the Bhagavad Gita, 17th chapter, the last shlokas, 17.20 to 28. So based on teachings of Srila Prabhupada, we'll understand in this particular section, Krishna explains about charity in various modes. Then Krishna also explains about Om Tat Sat. What does these words reveal? And how do we practically meditate upon the Lord in this material world using this mantra? So let us start with the prayers. Please repeat after me. Namo Vishnu Padaya,
Namo Vishnu Padaya,
Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale,
Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale,
Srimate Bhakti Vedanta,
Devate Bhakti Vedanta,
Swamin Niti Namine,
Swamy iti namine,
Namaste Saraswate Deve,
Namaste Saraswati Deve,
Gauravani Pracharine,
Gauravani Pracharine,
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi,
Nirvishesha Shunyavadi,
Paschatya Deshatarine,
Pashyata Desatarine,
Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya,
Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Prabhu Nityananda,
Shri Advaita Gadadara,
Shri Advaita Gadadara,
Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda,
Srivasadi Gauravakta Vrinda,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
So today we'll be covering from 20th verse. So please repeat after me. Datavyam ityadhanam
Ataviyam ityadhanam,
diyate anupakarine
Diyetenum
anupakarine,
desha kale cha patre cha
Deshakali
kale cha patre cha,
taddanam satvikam smrutam.
taddanam satvikam smritam.
Once again, datavyam iti adhanam
Datavim
Ataviyam ityadhanam,
diyate anupakarine
Diyetenum
anupakarine,
deshe kale cha patre cha
kale cha patre cha,
tadhanam satvikam smrutam.
taddanam satvikam smritam.
So here Krishna is saying charity, that gift, dhanam, which is given out of duty, iti dhatavyam, at the proper time and place, deshe kale cha patre cha, to a worthy person, and without expectation of the return. Diyate anupakarini. So is considered to be charity in the mode of goodness. Tad dhanam satvikam smrutam. So recommendation in the Vedic literature is charity given to a person engaged in spiritual activities. So basically, because it is given in the proper time, proper place to proper person, without expectation of any result out of it. No personal gain out of this person. So there is no recommendation for giving charity indiscriminately. So you have to give very specifically, not to anyone and everyone. If it has to be in Sattva-guna. So spiritual perfection is always a consideration. To whom are we giving? Their personality is spiritually perfect. Yes, it has higher value. So such charity should be given without any consideration of return. So not anticipating something. I do something in expectation of something. This is phalapeksha. That is not the example. That is not the point we discussed. Though, so like at proper time and proper place, like when we visit some Tirtha Yatra, we donate there. Then during lunar and solar eclipses or at the end of the month, Amavasya, Paurnami, these are the specific things when we do charity. Then to a qualified Brahmana or a Vaishnava or in temples. So time, place, circumstances. All these things are added into the circumstances, into the perspective of giving charity. Now, charity to the poor is sometimes given out of compassion. But if a poor man is not worth giving charity to, then there is no spiritual advancement. See, this is called as apatra dhanam. That the person who is not worthy, then unqualified person receives charity, we become obligated in karma. So here it says indiscriminate charity is not recommended in the Vedic literatures. So like Prabhupada says, Dhatavyam iti yad dhanam tat satvikam. Here is the person. Here, one has dedicated his whole life for Bhagavan. Give everything to him. That is dhana. Like one more place it says, Patan Patan Yajan Yajan. He should also worship the Supreme Lord and he should try to induce others to come to that position. Then Patan Patan Yajan Yajan Dana Pratigraha. The Brahmana is offered donation. That is the system. But he should not keep it for his personal. As soon as he gets donation, he spends for some service of the Lord. Even Brahmana gets 1 lakh of rupees, next morning he is still a beggar because he does not keep anything for tomorrow. Everything depending on Krishna and he spends money like that. Patana Patan Yajan Yajan Dana Pratika. The Brahmana is, I mean to say, allowed. A Brahmana is allowed to take charity from others, a sannyasi and a Brahmana. No other is allowed. Nowadays it has come, Daridra Narayana. So Daridra means the poor man becomes Narayana. Therefore he should be served. This nonsensical theory has come out by some nonsense. But actually a qualified Brahmana should be given charity. A sannyasi, Vaishnava should be given charity. That is Sattvika charity. And Rajasika charity means to open hospitals, schools. These are Rajasika charity. And Tamasika charity means without any discrimination, a Bauri man given 1 rupee and immediately purchase a bottle of wine. So this is Tamasika charity. By Tamasika charity, one is degraded. So Prabhupada is explaining this perspective. Whom do we give? Sattvic charity, Rajasic charity, or Tamoguna charity? Like sometimes people ask, they go and engage with that amount in some illicit activity. That becomes a Tamasic charity. So we have to be very careful. Whom are we giving charity? It is not that it is nobody should be given charity. Charity should be given to whom? Qualified person it should be given. So next, charity in the mode of passion. Yattu pratyupakarartam.
Yattu pratyupakarartam.
Phalam uddishya va punaha.
Phalam uddishya va punaha.
Diyate cha pariklistam.
Diyate cha pariklistam.
Taddanam rajasamsmrutam.
Taddanam rajasamsmrutam.
Yattu pratyupakarartam.
Yattu pratyupakarartam.
Phalam uddishya va punaha.
Phalam uddishya va punaha.
Diyate cha pariklistam.
Diyate cha pariklistam.
Taddanam rajasamsmrutam.
Taddanam rajasamsmrutam.
So, but charity performed with the expectation of some return. Pratyupakara. Upakara means expecting something from there, or with a desire for fruitful results. That is phalam uddishya va punaha, or in a grudging mode. Diyateja pariklistam is said to be charity in the mode of passion. Like sometimes we are forced to give charity. Somebody will put pressure. So the person who is giving charity will be giving in a crying mode. So in all these things are expected in the mode of passion. So charity is sometimes performed for elevation to the heavenly kingdom, and sometimes with great trouble and with repentance afterwards. So people think, why have I spent so much in this way? And charity is also sometimes made under some obligation at the request of a superior. So there are many charitable foundations which offer their gifts to institutions where sense gratification goes on. So such charities are not recommended in the Vedic scriptures. See, we have to be very careful, because the amount what we give, if it is misutilized for some other purpose, so then we become obligated in that karma, because we have encouraged them to perform such activity. So we have to suffer that person. Then charity in the mode of ignorance. Please repeat. Adesha kale yadhanam.
Adesha kale yadhanam.
Apatrebhyascha diyate.
Apatrebhyascha diyate.
Asatkrutam avijñātam.
Satkrutam avijñātam.
Tattamasam udahrutam.
Tattamasam udahrutam.
Adesha kale yadhanam.
Adesha kale yadhanam.
Apatrebhyascha diyate.
Apatrebhyascha diyate.
Asatkrutam avijñātam.
Satkrutam avijñātam.
Tattamasam udahrutam.
Tattamasam udahrutam.
So a charity performed at improper place, adesha kale, and time, adeshe kale, yadhanam, and given to unworthy persons without respect, apatrebhyascha diyate. Then asatkrutam avijnatam. And with contempt, that is, no, avijnata means one without proper attention. Then asatkritam, one without proper respect, is tat dhamasam udahritam, is charity in the mode of ignorance. So contributions for indulgence in intoxication and gambling, for example, this is tamasa. Charity to a suitable person without respect and without attention. So such charity is not beneficial, rather sinful persons are encouraged. So one who is receiving the charity, he should have some respect for us and he should be very attentive. We should be, whom are we giving and whom that person is also taking, he should be attentive. So in charity also there must be consideration. It must be sattvic. You have read Bhagavad Gita. There are three kinds of charity: sattvic, rajasic, and tamasic. Charity in goodness, in which due consideration that here should be given charity. Just like Vedic injunction is to give charity to the Brahmanas. Why? That is the worthy place. To give charity in the hands of Brahmanas and Vaishnavas. The real Brahmanas, I don't say caste Brahman, because they will employ whatever you give them in the service of the Lord. Therefore, charity, that is sattvic charity. There is no question of profit or name, but charity should be given here. Here is something, God's service. That is sattvic. And rajasic means for the sake of name. Oh, people will say, I am so charitable. So that is charity. And tamasic, one who does not know where the money is going. Just like in the Baurism street. The drunkard comes and polishes the motor car and somebody gives $5 and he immediately goes to drink. So that means this charity means give him impetus for drink. So if charity creates such drunkards, that is very dangerous. He has to suffer, the man who is giving in charity. Therefore, in charity also there must be consideration and it must be sattvic. So this is what we understand about charity by Prabhupada. Like one more place. Prabhupada, if you make tamasic dhana, then you become implicated with his sinful activities. Suppose you want to kill somebody and you are asking, can you give me a nice knife? What will you do? I will kill that man. All right, take it. Dhanam, I am giving you in charity. So he will be implicated. In the court, if it is known that the man supplied the knife, arrest him, bring him immediately. In the material world, anything you do, yajnarthat karmano anyatra lokoyam. If it is not meant for Krishna, then you are immediately a criminal. Dr. Patel, sinful activity. Prabhupada, yes, immediately. To spiritualize everything, Krishna says, therefore, yat karoshi, yat juhoshi, yat tapasyasi, dadashi, tat kurishva madarpanam. Then it is spiritual act. Immediately, karmani evadikaraste, ma phaleshu. So Dr. Patel, tadartham karma kaunteya. Yes. So this is spiritual. Yajnarthat karma. Everything is there. Unless you do it for Krishna, everything is material and sinful. So this is the perspective here.
So brahmacharya is one of the items. Tapasya means beginning with brahmacharya, celibacy. Here we have given the meaning of tapasya by austerity or voluntary rejection of material enjoyment. Tapasya brahmacharya. So tapasya, I do not like something to do because it is pleasing to me, but for the sake of my advancement of spiritual life, I must have it. This is called tapasya. We prescribe 4 kinds of regulative principles: no illicit sex, no meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication. In the Western countries, these 4 things are very ordinary means of life. In the Western countries, practically 10% population, they are addicted to these sinful activities. So, in our society, anyone who joins, he has to accept these 4 principles of regulative life. Brahmacharya, celibacy, sex, prohibition of sex life, especially illicit sex life. Unless one is married, no sex life is allowed. That is called brahmacharya. Life of celibacy or accepting one wife only, that's all. Then samena, controlling the senses, controlling the mind. Samena, dhamena cha. These 2 things required. We should not become the servant of the mind. We should become master of the mind. Tyagena, therefore in the Shastra, the process of charity is recommended. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also recommended that Jagadana tapakriya na tajyam kajameva tat. Because I have renounced this world, it does not mean I shall give up the process of performing Jagga, Dana and Tapasya. It is further stressed, Jagadana tapakriya pavanani manishina. Even if you think that you are very advanced, still you should not give up these three processes, means performing Jagga, giving in charity and performing tapasya. One must then control the mind and senses, give charity, be truthful, clean and non-violent, follow the regulatory principle and regularly chant the holy name of the Lord. Thus, a sober and faithful person who knows the religious principle is temporarily purified of all sins performed with his body, words and mind. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is also recommended, Juktahara viharascha, Jukta chistya sakarmanam, Jukta sapna, Jukta yoga bhavati, dukkha. In this way, if we practice yoga, bhakti yoga, then gradually we are elevated to the perfectional stage. Now, one may say that if I give up all these things which is habituated to me, there will be some painful condition. So therefore, Bhagavad Gita has recommended to tolerate matra sparsastu kaunteya. Now we have to tolerate. This is called tapasya. Even though it is painful for me, it is not at all painful, but those who are trying to practice in the beginning, it may be painful. So Bhagavan, Krishna is advising that even it is painful, you must do it and tolerate it. So, matra sparsastu kaunteya sitosna sukha dukkhada. The example is given, just like we suffer sometimes in scorching heat and very pinching or chilly cold, but we tolerate and do our business. Sometimes to cure our disease, say for example fever, we have to swallow very bitter quinine pills. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, considering the people in general of this age, Kali Yuga, he knew that people will not be able to even tolerate such little pain for advancing in spiritual life. So, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu therefore recommended that Hare Nama, Hare Nama, Hare Nama iva kevalam, kalu nasteva nasteva, nasteva gatirannatha. Very difficult in this age to follow the principles of brahmacharya as it is recommended, tapasa brahmacharjena samena dhamena va.
So now Krishna explains about what is the meaning of this Om Tat Sat. Because it's a Vedic instruction, we have to understand. Many people have no idea what this perspective is. What is Om, what is Tat, what is Sat. So Krishna elaborates his perspective so that people, when they chant that mantra with intention, with meaning, it will have a higher impact here, it says. So please repeat after me. Om Tat Sat iti nirdesho
Om Sat Sat iti Nirdeso
Brahmanas Trivida Smritaha
Brahmanas Tri Smritaha
Brahmanas Tena Vedascha
Brahmanas Te Vedascha
Yajnascha Vihitah Pura.
Vihita Pura.
Om Tat Sat iti nirdesho
Om Sat iti Nirdeso
Brahmanas Trivida Smritaha
Brahmanas Tri Smritaha
Brahmanas Tena Vedascha
Brahmanas Tena Vedascha
Yajnascha Vihitah Pura.
Yajnascha Vihita Pura.
So here Krishna is saying, from the beginning of the creation, The three syllables Om Tat Sat have been used to indicate the supreme absolute truth. So Om Tat Sat iti nirdeshaha Brahmanaha Trivita Smritaha. So they were uttered by Brahmanas while chanting Vedic hymns. Brahmanastena Vedascha, and during sacrifices, Yajnascha, for the satisfaction of the Supreme. Vihitah Pura, in the formerly at the time of creation, they have been chanting for the satisfaction of the Lord. So how to purify food, sacrifice, austerity, and charity? These are the four topics, whatever we have discussed in this chapter. Now Krishna is saying, although always contaminated by the material modes, they can become means of spiritual elevation by aiming them at the Supreme. So the food has to be purified, it has to be offered to the Lord. The sacrifice, it has to become successful in spiritual perspectives, it has to be for the sacrifice of the Lord, austerity also, charity also. So here it is said, Om Tat Sat, the Supreme Lord, the Eternal. That means Om Tat Sat means He is that Supreme Lord who is eternal. So what does Om Tat Sat indicate? They particularly indicate the absolute truth, the Supreme Lord. So in Vedic hymns, the word Om is always found. Any mantra which is starting with Pranava becomes the Vyada mantra. So what if one acts without following the scriptural regulations? This is the first perspective. So Arjuna's question was a person who has faith but not on Shastras. So Krishna is saying, he will not attain absolute truth. He will get some temporary result, but not the ultimate end of life. So in conclusion, the sacrifice, charity, penance must be done in the mode of goodness. Otherwise, they are inferior in quality. If performed in the mode of passion or ignorance, what happens? So if you perform in passion or ignorance, that is inferior in quality. It will not be the desired result. So indication of the Vedic literatures with respect to Om Tat Sat, these three words Om Tat Sat are uttered in conjunction with the holy name of the Supreme Lord, Om Tat Vishnu Paramam Padam. So whenever a Vedic hymn or holy name of the Supreme Lord is uttered, Om is added. So authority, the three words Om Tat Sat are of Vedic hymns. So Om iti etat Brahmano nedishtam nama indicates the first goal. Tattvamasi indicates the second goal. Sat eva Somyaha indicates the third goal. For example, Brahma performed sacrifices by indicating the Supreme Lord with these three words. So Om Tat Sat and Krishna consciousness. So according to Bhagavad Gita, any work should be done for Om Tat Sat, for the Supreme Lord. So when one performs penance, charity, and sacrifice with these three words, he is acting in Krishna consciousness. Now next, what is Om? Krishna elaborates in this shloka. Please repeat after me. Tasmad Om iti udahritya.
Tasmat Om iti udahritya.
Yajna dana tapakriyaha.
Dana tapah kriyaha.
Pravartante vidanoktaha.
Pravartante vidanoktaha.
Satatam brahmavadinam.
Saratam brahmavadinam.
Once again. Tasmad Om iti udahritya.
Tasmat Om iti udahritya.
Yajna dana tapakriyaha.
Yajna dana tapah kriyaha.
Pravartante vidanoktaha.
Pravartante vidanoktaha.
Satatam brahmavadinam.
Saratam brahmavadinam.
So tasmad iti udahritya, when the transcendentalist undertakes sacrifices, yajna dana tapakriya, sacrifices, charities, and penances, pravartante vidanoktaha, performed according to scriptural injunctions, regulations. Satatam brahmavadinam, of the transcendentalists, they perform everything with Om to attain the Supreme. So in the Veda mantras, it is given the lotus feet of Vishnu are the supreme devotional platform. Om Tad Vishnu Paramam Padam, that is shloka, what it is mentioned. Our performance of everything on behalf of the Supreme Lord assures perfection of all activities. So in the Padma Purana, there is a shloka which says, Aksharaschapi ukaras cha makaras cha tatah param Veda Trayatmakam Proktam Pranavam Brahmana Padam. Akarana uchate Vishnu Srir Ukarena Uchochate Makarastu Anayor Dasaha Panchavimshaha Prakrititah. In the Padma Purana Uttarakanda, the description of the syllable Om, it is said the letters A, U, and M combine to make the syllable Om, which is the heart of the three Vedas. The letter A is said to be Lord Vishnu. The letter U is said to be the goddess of fortune. The letter M is said to be their servant, the individual spirit soul, who is the 25th element in the material world. Then, Anteja Bhagavak Chesha Ruposo Maka Karakya Sa Chetana Iti Tata Avadharana Vachi Evam Yukaraha Kaishchit Uchate Shrisha Tatpaksha Patitvad Akarenaiva Chochate Bhaskarasya Prabha Yadva Tasya Nitya Anapaini Iti Adi Atayeva Sri Vaishnavanam Pranava Eva Mahavakyam Iti Sthitam. So at the end of passage, it is also said the letter Yam is said to be all-knowing Lord Shesha. And it is also said, some say that the letter U is the goddess of fortune, for she always stays by her husband's side. And her husband here is the letter A. He is like the sun and she is like the sunlight. She is the constant companion. For these reasons, the Vaishnavas declare that the syllable Om is the Mahavakya, the most important statement in the Vedas. So the three words Om Tat Sat are remembered by the wise to be the names of Vishnu, Brahmanaha Nirdeshaha. The Shruti also says Om iti etat Brahmano dedishtam nama. Om is the another name of the Brahman. So Om is the first name, Tat is the second name, seen in the Shruti statement, Tat Tvamasi, you are that Brahman. The Sat is the third name mentioned in the Shruti statement, Sadeva Saumyaha, that Brahman is eternal, O gentle one. So these are the representative names only, since there are many more. So next, what is the meaning of Tat? Please repeat after me. Tat iti anabhisandaya.
Tat iti anabhisandaya.
Phalam yajna tapakriyaha.
Phalam
tapah kriya
Dana kriyasya vividaha.
dana
kriyasya vividaha
Kriyante moksha kangshibihi.
yante moksha kankshvihi
Tat iti anabhisandaya.
tadviti anabhisandaya
Phalam yajna tapakriyaha.
palam yajna tapah kriyaha
Dana kriyasya vividaha.
dana kriyasya vividaha
Kriyante moksha kangshibihi.
kriyante moksha kankshvihi.
So here Krishna is saying one should perform sacrifice, penance and charity with the word Tat. Tat iti anabhisandaya phalam yajna tapah kriyaha. And the purpose of such transcendental activities is to get free from the material entanglement. Dana kriyasya vividaha kriyante moksha kangshibihi. Moksha kangshibihi. That person who is endeavoring in this perspective is to become free from this material entanglement, moksha. So to be elevated to the spiritual position, one should not act for any material gain. Act should be performed for the ultimate gain of being transferred to the spiritual kingdom, that is Vaikuntha or Goloka Vrindavana, that is back home, back to God. Like as a drop of water, when it falls, the ripples will start. So because of these interactions, people can become entangled in this material. So we have to be very careful whom are we focusing.
The Supreme Absolute Truth is the reservoir of all pleasure. Anandamaya Vyasa. So, Brahma realization, Paramatma realization and Bhagavan realization. If you realize Bhagavan, then you realize Brahma and Paramatma. Just like if you have got 1 lakh of rupees, 10 rupees or 50 rupees are already there within. Similarly, if you understand Krishna, Bhagavan, then you understand automatically what is Brahma and what is Paramatma. But if you simply stick to Brahma realization or Paramatma realization, the Jnanis, they are interested in Brahma realization.
And the yogis, they are interested. Realization cannot be continued if you do not realize the other two things, namely Paramatma and Bhagavan. Chit and Anand. Sat, Chit, Anand. Simply realization of Sat, Om Tat Sat, will not satisfy because you are part and parcel of the Satchidananda Vigraha. Ishara Parama Krishna Satchidananda Vigraha. Vigraha means form. So you are also form because you are part and parcel of the form. Therefore you have got a form. The form may be different in the material world. Krishna therefore claims all forms. Sarvajonishu konte, sambhavanti murta. Sarvajonishu, there are different 8,400,000 forms of living entities. And Krishna claims Sarvajonishu konte. Sambhavanti murta, as many forms are there. Dasa mahajjani brahma aham virya pradapita. Krishna says, I am the seed-giving Father. So Krishna is Father for all living entities. They are simply struggling here in this material world under different desires, and therefore they are getting transmigrating from one body to another, and in this way they are wandering within this material world.
So next, now Krishna explains in 2 verses what is Sat. So please repeat after me. Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha.
Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha.
Sat iti etat prayujyate.
Sat iti eta prayuchyate.
Prashaste karmani tata.
Prasaste tatmani tata.
Tat shabda partha yujyate.
Tasya partha vyuchyate.
Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha.
Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha.
Sat iti etat prayujyate.
Sat iti eta prayuchyate.
Prashaste karmani tata.
Prasaste karmani tata.
Tat shabda partha yujyate.
Tasya partha yuchyate.
1 second, one more verse. Yajne tapasi dhane cha.
Yajne tapasi dane cha.
Sthiti sat iti chochyate.
Iti choyachyate.
Karma chaiva tada artiyam.
Karma chaiva tada adriyam.
Sat iti eva vidiyate.
Tad iti eva vidyate.
Yajne tapasi dhane cha.
Yajne tapasi dane cha.
Sthiti sat iti chochyate.
Iti sad iti choyachyate.
Karma chaiva tad artiyam.
Karma chaiva tad adriyam.
Sat iti eva vidiyate.
Tad iti eva vidyate.
So Krishna is saying here, the absolute truth is the objective of devotional sacrifice, and it is indicated by the word Sat. Sadbhave sadhu bhave cha. Sat iti etat prayujyate. These works of sacrifice, of penance and of charity. So prashaste karmani tata sat shabda partha yuchyate. Next, yajne tapase dhane cha sthiti sat iti chochyate. So true to the absolute nature are performed to please the Supreme Person, Hosana Prata. Karma chaiva tat artiyam sad iti eva vidiyate. So they are performed to satisfy the Supreme. Sad iti, they are considered as to please for the Supreme. So the importance of the words prashaste karmani means indicates that there are many activities prescribed in the Vedic literature which are purificatory processes beginning from parental care up to the end of one's life. The whole thing is purpose is meant for ultimate liberation. So what is the recommendation in all such activities? One should vibrate Om Tat Sat. Then what is the importance of the words Sadbhave, Sadhubhave? They indicate the transcendental situation Because when one is acting in Krishna consciousness, it is called as Sattva Guna. And one who is fully conscious of activities in Krishna consciousness is called as Swarupa. He is acting in original consciousness position. Like in Bhagavatam, there is a reference, Satam Prasangan Mamavirya Samvido, which glorifies the importance of association of devotees. So without good association, one cannot achieve transcendental knowledge. So the practical application is Om Tat Sat is used when initiating a person or offering a sacred thread and many other yajnas. So similarly, in all kinds of yogic performances, the supreme object Om Tat Sat is invoked. So in conclusion, these words Om Tat Sat are used to perfect all activities. The supreme Om Tat Sat makes everything come. So when you add Lord, everything becomes come. So quoting from Garuda Purana, Pramadat Kurvatam Karma Prachavyeta Advareshu Yat Smaranadeva Tat Vishnu Sampurnam Sya Iti Shruti. Whatever mistakes are committed in sacrifice out of inattention will be rectified by the remembrance of Vishnu. This is the statement of Shruti. So the last shloka for this chapter, please repeat after me. Ashraddhaya Hutam Dattam
Asradhyahutam dattam
Tapastaptam Krutam Chayat
tapastapam kritam chaya
Asat iti uchyate partha Nacha tat pretya no iha Ashraddhaya Hutam Dattam
Asradhyahutam dattam
Tapastaptam Krutam Chayat
tapastapam kritam chaya
Asat iti uchyate partha
asradhyate pata
Nacha tat pretya no iha. So charity or anything performed without faith, ashraddhaya, hutam dattam, which is performed, dattam, to give charity, tapas taptam. So but sacrifices, austerities and charities performed without faith in the Supreme are not permanent. They are all asat. They are not permanent. O son of Prita, Partha, regardless of whatever rites are performed, asat iti uchyate partha. They are called as asat and are useless both in this life and the next. Na cha tad pretya na iha. Iha in this life, na pretya in the next life. They are all best. Because anything performed without faith in the Supreme Lord are all temporary, they are all not permanent, and they are of useless nature. That's what Krishna is saying here. So anything done without transcendental objective, whether it is sacrifice, charity, or penance, is useless. And all such activities are abominable. So without such faith and without the proper guidance, there can never be any fruit. No one can obtain success without following this principle. So why this principle of faith in Supreme is emphasized here? The ultimate goal is understanding Krishna. And the advice of all Vedas is, in all Vedic scriptures, faith in Supreme is advised. The best course of work recommended to make everything successful is work from the very beginning in Krishna consciousness under the guidance of a bona fide spiritual master. So direct Krishna consciousness is better than gradual elevation. Like, see, gradual elevation means you go by stair by stair by stair. Direct Krishna consciousness is lift. So in the conditional state, people are attracted to worshipping of demigods, ghosts, yakshas like Kuvera, all these things. So Krishna consciousness is transcendental to all three modes of material nature. It is beyond the three modes, directly worshipping Lord Vishnu to become liberated. So in essence, what is the message of chapter 17? Take to the direct Krishna conscious process by the association of Krishna conscious devotees. This is the best recommended path. Now, how to find success in the process of Krishna consciousness? The first is find the proper spiritual master, receive training under his direction. Then one achieves faith in the Supreme. When that faith matures in course of time, it is called as love of God. Prema Pumarto Maha, which is the ultimate goal of living angels.
We worship Krishna, we think of Krishna, we work for Krishna, we glorify Krishna, we chant for Krishna,
we dedicate our life for Krishna. This is our philosophy. We think of Krishna, as Krishna says, we are devotees of Krishna, manmana bhava madbhakta. We worship Krishna, madhyaji. We offer our obeisance to Krishna, Maha namaskuru, sarva dharman padita. We have no other religion. We don't approve any other religion except Krishna consciousness. This is our philosophy. So, anyone who comes to this Krishna consciousness movement or contributes something for pushing on this movement, he becomes immediately benefited.
So any questions, please?
Hare Krishna Prabhu.
Yes.
Thank you for the session, Prabhu. I have one small doubt regarding charity and goodness.
Okay.
Suppose after giving charity and goodness, if the receiver misuses it somehow or other, so what will happen in that situation, Prabhu?
Then we become obligated for that karma. We have to share that karma.
Even though we were not thinking about it, I mean, somehow.
You are not anticipating it. That's why you have to do due diligence before giving charity.
Okay.
That's why he said, apatra dhanam, don't do that. You have to specifically give to qualified people and where that money is utilized for the Supreme Lord's purpose, not for any personal sense gratification.
Okay, thank you, Prabhu. So that means we haven't given to the right person, right?
That's why we have not done our duty properly. We have to give it to the right person. Like for example, when you give to any devotee, will he put it into his pocket or will he give it to the temple?
To the temple and
because nothing, because we represent the temple and whatever you give, it will go to the service of the Lord.
Okay.
In that way, it is. That's why Prabhupada said it should be given in for the advancement of Krishna consciousness. So that the person who is giving, he will get benefited. That's the whole idea. See, Krishna is in not need of money. But he is giving us an opportunity because when we give our hard-earned wealth to the Lord, we become purified in the process. Detachment to this material world comes by giving charity. This is the basic principle what we have to understand.
Yes, Prabhu.
Okay, then thank you, all of you. Again, we'll meet next week, start with 18th chapter, the conclusion of entire Bhagavad Gita. So various aspects in these 3 modes, Krishna is going to discuss till half of the chapter. After that, he will explain the conclusion of Bhagavad Gita. Till now, whatever he has spoken, he will conclude in the last second part of Bhagavad Gita.
Okay.
Okay, then. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhu. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.